And we have, my friends, now half a dozen films chosen by me, Paul Ross, but more importantly by our main man when it comes to all Freeview movie matters related. It is, of course, Van Connor. That was a bit convoluted, that intro, Van, but you've got 3 big films for us for the weekend. A very mixed bag of films this week. I've tried to go action all the way this weekend. One of them is a bit questionable on the action front, but where would you like to start with this, Van? I hope your week's been a good one.
Do you know what? I can't complain. It's been pretty good. I saw a horror movie, a Christmas horror movie about Norwegian barn elves that was really good. Not a concept I thought I would encounter, but Norwegian barn elves. So look out for a movie. It's called There's Something in the Barn, and that something is very Gremlins, very Krampus.
I'm lucky the sound of that one. There's something in the barn. Grandpa, there is something in the barn, yeah? I don't know why they become German with the Norwegian. I can't do a Norwegian accent. Where would you like to start us off, though, with the Freeview recommendations for this week, for today?
So I'm going to take you on to Dave tonight at 9:35 and all the way back to 1992 and the first movie from one seminal director by the name of Quentin Tarantino. It is, of course, Reservoir Dogs, with its all-star cast that includes Chris Penn, Steve Buscemi, Harvey Keitel, my personal favourite, Tim Roth, and, the scenery-chewing, iconically torturing Michael Madsen, who gets that great stuck in the middle with you sequence that kind of became the signature of the movie. And everything we love about Tarantino is, of course, born of this one movie. They are the heist crew, effectively. They come together. They are, heist team members for hire, all come together, are given anonymous sort of code names named after colours. They go on a job that goes wrong. We are shown the movie in different time frames and different, out of order, non-linear sequence. And it's all about who tipped them off, how did the robbery go wrong, and how they turn on each other one by one. I've got a clip for you. Say, this is on Dave tonight at 9:35. I've got a clip for you. It's the sequence in which they are assigned their code names. You must be a fan of this, Paul. You must love Reservoir Dogs.
I love this movie. I like because Tarantino was such a cineast. He loved movies. He watched at a video store that specialised in kind of the more outre Japanese and American films. Even borrows from films like, the Thomas Crown Affair, because they're given the names of colours. It's a brilliant film. No two ways about it. I'm going to ask you what you think the title might mean after we hear your clip. So it's basically, nobody really does that when it comes to hardboiled criminals. Nobody really fancies being Mr. Pink, do they? 9:35 tonight on Dave. Here's Van's clip.
Here are your names. Mr. Brown, Mr. White, Mr. Blonde, Mr. Blue, Mr. Orange, Mr. Pink.
Why am I Mr. Pink?
Because you're a all right?
Why can't we pick our own colors?
No way. Tried it once, it doesn't work. You get 4 guys all fighting over who's going to be Mr. Black. But they don't know each other, so nobody wants to back down. No way. I pick. You're Mr. Pink. Be thankful you're not Mr. Yellow.
Yeah, but Mr. Brown, that's a little too close to Mr.
Mr. Pink sounds like Mr. How about if I'm Mr. Purple? I mean, that sounds good to me. I'll be Mr. Purple.
No, you won't be Mr. Purple. You do exactly what he tells you. It's well known that Straw Dogs, the Sam Peckinpah film, he bought the rights to a novel called The Siege of Innis Farm, written by a man called Gordon Williams, who co-wrote the Hazel series with Terry Venables, oddly, or maybe not that oddly. He called it Straw Dogs from an old quote by the Chinese philosopher and writer Lao Tzu about your men are straw dogs blown in the wind. I don't think anybody's really explained, and Tarantino's not explained, what Reservoir Dogs are. I just assume there's some kind of feral creatures common in the States, or is it one of those weird and wonderful inscrutable titles?
The title, according to sort of Hollywood legend, the title comes from when Tarantino was visiting a production company one day, and he learned that a stack of unsolicited scripts was referred to as Reservoir Dogs. Ooh. Because they were fighting for the attention of, an agent in the same way that a bunch of dogs trapped in a reservoir tank would. So that's apparently the origin of that title.
And listen, that makes perfect sense. He's probably got a million other stories like that, old Tarantino, but brilliantly laid out for us there. Now, my selection is also action-tastic, rather different kind of film, though, because it stars Jean-Claude Van Damme, but don't immediately say no. He made 2 good films, at least in his career, so far. One is Time Cop, and the other is Hard Target, John Woo's first Hollywood film. Of course, he was the great Hong Kong action director from brilliant films like Hard Boiled and other brilliant, known for his action sequences, known for sliding down the banisters on your back, firing 2 guns at the same time, and normally having slow-motion doves flying around. This isn't as good as, I think, Broken Arrow, which was his second film, the Christian Slater Travolta film, nor indeed is the great Face Off, which is a masterpiece, I think. But it's not a bad old watch. Not everyone's seen it. And it's on Legend, the channel we don't mention too much, which is Freeview. 9 o'clock tonight. It's Hard Target. You don't really need to know the plot. There's a hard man. People are after him, so he's a hard target. And his name's Jean-Claude Van Damme. At least the actor's name is. It's now 30 years old, this film. So the fashions are worth tuning in for 5 minutes, because the sight of Jean-Claude Van Damme in a mullet and with one of those denim jackets where the sleeves have been cut off is a sight to behold. So 9 o'clock tonight on Legend. Hard Target.
In the city of New Orleans, in a darker side of Dixie, Away from the music and the lights, there's a new game in town.
You'll be provided with a guide, trackers, and the weapons of your choice.
I need to file a missing person report.
The competitors are deadly.
We pride ourselves in hunting only combat veterans, men who have the necessary skills to make our hunts more interesting.
And they always win.
You want to find your father? Get somebody who knows the city to show you around.
Now, the opposition is about to get one last chance.
What kind of a name is Chance?
My mama took one.
There you go. He's doing his best Arnold Schwarzenegger one-liner there. It's actually, I mean, the setup isn't bad. It's kind of, the most dangerous game. They're hunting human beings. Of course, they're hard targets because they're vets. They're not going for, oldies like me or grannies with Zimmer frames. But even, there's some great action sequences in it. So if you want to kind of park your brain at the door, treat. That's on tonight, 9 o'clock on Legend. Should be a bit later, I think. What's your second choice for us, Van, please?
So I've gone for a completely different tone. We've gone from hard-boiled criminals to, hard-boiled, human hunting. Let's go for something of a mystery drama now. So this is our best actor winner. I think best original screenplay as well. Best adapted screenplay, sorry, from 2020/2021. It's Florian Zeller's The Father. This got Anthony Hopkins his best actor win that year over the posthumous Chadwick Boseman. It's effectively a dramatic mystery thriller in which Anthony Hopkins plays an older gentleman suffering from dementia who starts to piece together this conspiracy of things going wrong in his life, people lying to him, things disappearing. But conversely, you also get the story of, from his daughter's perspective, in which it is simply a father suffering from dementia. And the film basically posits the question of which is which at a point. Anthony Hopkins plays it kind of both ways. It's a fascinating movie. You can see why he would get the Oscar for it. We all expected Boseman would have gotten it that year, but it went to Hopkins, and a deserving win nonetheless, and a great movie. The follow-up, The Son, with Hugh Jackman, is absolute garbage, but this one is a banger. This is well worth watching. You can see this on Channel 4 on Saturday night, 9:25, so 9:25 on Channel 4 on Saturday night. It's The Father, so I've got a clip for you. This is Hopkins being, he could be questioning rightfully, or he could simply be confused, and it's up for interpretation.
Here we go then.
Date of birth?
Friday, 31st of December, 1937.
Friday?
Yes.
You're living with your daughter at the moment, is that right?
Yes, until she goes to live in Paris.
No, Dad, why do you keep going on about Paris?
What?
I'm staying in London.
You keep changing your mind. How do you expect people to keep up?
Well, there's never been any question of me living in Paris.
Yes, there was. You told me.
No, I didn't.
I'm sorry, Anne, you told me the other day. Have you forgotten? She's forgotten. You're starting to suffer from memory loss. I'd have a word with the doctor if I were you.
In any event, I'm not going to Paris.
Oh, that's good. Paris. They don't even speak English there.
They don't the last time I checked. In fact, they're rather indifferent towards us. But it's an interesting setup for me. I knew nothing about this film, and I've yet to see it, so I'm going to make sure I record that tomorrow night. That's Saturday night, you say 9 o'clock on Film 4. Is that right, man?
Channel 4 at 9:25.
Okay, I won't make that mistake again. Right. And we go now to my second film of the weekend, my recommendation. Most people have seen this one. Most people have enjoyed it. I've not seen it for a couple of years. I'm going to catch it again. It's on 5 Star tomorrow evening, 7:05. It's got Jackie Chan. It's got, well, I always want to say, it's got the other Chris, but it hasn't got the Chris who's currently in, the limelight for getting slapped around the face. But it's a big film, this. It's Russia. It made an absolute fortune, this film, directed by Brett Ratner, who went on to make at least one X-Men movie I can remember, and films like Tower Heist and stuff. And it's got some incredibly, or borderline politically incorrect jokes in it, but it's fantastically funny. Of course, you might expect with Jackie Chan involved in this, a lot of rolling around, a lot of action, a lot of kind of silly, and also it plays, I think, to the comedic side of Jackie Chan, which is to be applauded, I think. Did you enjoy this film when it first came out, man? Because I saw it with a few sniffy critics who were a bit sniffy about it.
Well, I mean, I was 15 when this came out, and it was the biggest game in town. Like, Rush Hour was the pop culture phenomenon for about a month before I think the first Blade came out. And it was kind of Apex Mountain for Jackie Chan.
And
this was
he'd only made, I think, this film, and then he made the Rush Hour, and I think he may have made other films since then, but Chris Tucker, what a breakthrough film role to get, and then not to follow up in a way.
He made so much money out of them. I think he took something like 30 mil for the third one of these. He made so much money off of these that he just got to kick back, enjoy his life, and hang around with Michael Jackson, which is kind of all he wanted to do. So now when he does appear in a movie, you see him in, for instance, in Silver Linings Playbook, it's usually because it's something he passionately wants to be involved with, rather than has to do for paycheck. He really just does not do paycheck work at all anymore. If you catch him doing anything now, it is for the love of it.
That's why he's been in film. He was in The Fifth Element. He was in Jackie Brown as well. So obviously it's all down to Russia. Basically, the daughter of some Chinese bigwig's been kidnapped, and Jackie Chan shows up to try and find her, and Chris Tucker tries not to get in the way, but often does. And guess what? The bad guy has got a British accent. It's called Rush Hour. It's on 7:05 tomorrow night on 5 Star. Enjoy. Here we go.
Which one of y'all kicked me?
From New Line Cinema. The fastest hands in the East.
Wow.
Meet the biggest mouth in the West.
Just received a threat on the building. We ask you please exit the building. Do not panic. Did you hear what I just said? Get the hell out of here. The bomb in the building.
Jackie Chan.
I can't hold that anymore. Just hang on, man. I'll be right back.
Chris Tucker.
FBI. Take a picture. It's okay. Wait a minute.
Rush Hour.
We can hang in my crib. I will show you my hood. What the hell did you just say?
And don't ever, if you're in America, follow the greetings issued by a black man who's entitled to say certain words and you're not when you're wandering to say a tough-looking pool hall, is my advice. The lesson from life I took from that film. And my final film is, well, it's a classic of the genre. It's a classic of the kind of Arnold Schwarzenegger science fiction genre. And there aren't that many entrants in that. This, I suppose, in Total Recall, maybe one or two others. Terminator might get a mention, of course it won't. And it's The Running Man from 1987 on 5 Action, of course it is. Suitable place for it. 9 o'clock Sunday evening. And basically, in the future, tough criminals are given the chance either to spend the rest of their life in prison or be executed on television, or they can enter a game show. And it makes I'm a Celebrity look like I'm a celebrity. Because there's no jeopardy or danger in that. The Running Man. When you're running for your life from a team of, mechanically aided and assisted killer gladiators, and of course Arnold Schwarzenegger is one of the contestants. And boy, do they pick the wrong man. But what makes this work is the host of the Running Man show is a British actor, I think, who's also, he hosted game shows in America. Now, we would have known him for that. He'd been in acting in various movies, but it gave an added kind of piquancy to it, which I think was only echoed by, or repeated with the original RoboCop, which also kind of satirised American TV. But so it's kind of got a satirical intent to it. It's not the best shot of film. It's directed by Paul Michael Glaser, who was Starsky and Hutch. But even so, a respectable film. And I think it's got to be in Arnie's top 5, I reckon. Where would you place this one in the Arnold Schwarzenegger oeuvre canon, Van?
I think somewhere in the 5 to 10 range. It's in the lower half of the top 10 for me. Because this was a Stephen King, this was Stephen King source material. I think he wrote this under the Bachman name when he was writing as Richard Bachman. But Edgar Wright is apparently remaking this now. Of all people, we're getting Edgar Wright's take on this. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what we do with that in this day and age. Because, fake news, reality TV, culture and all that stuff. Imagine doing The Running Man now with all those elements. The only problem is, how do you find an actor who's going to embody that quite like Schwarzenegger does? Because he's so good in this.
Well, also, there's that great almost meditation or ad-lib around, if it is an ad-lib, his I'll be back catchphrase. I'll be back. And the host says, only in a rerun. And off he goes there. So fantastic stuff. It's on 9 o'clock Sunday night on 5 Action. It's The Running Man. Go on, get running, Arnie.
In the year 2017, an innocent man accused of a crime has a choice. Hard time or prime time.
Sensational. Perfect contestant. I want him.
He must pay or play the Running Man.
On your mark.
I'll be back.
Go!
The highest rated TV show in history.
Guess they want us to stay.
It's a game between life and death.
Give you a lift?
Arnold Schwarzenegger is the Running Man. He's playing for a prize. The prize is his life.
I'll buy that for $1, as they say, RoboCop on that front. And I should mention 20 past midnight Sunday, 30 Days of Night. If you like your vampire horror quite classy, and Danny Houston is the king of vampires, that's the one for you. Or sure fun. And other people may be saying by now, that Ross, he thinks he's picked action films, not a single Sly Stallone film. Charlotte, you're going to put that right for us, I think, aren't you?
You got Arnie, I'm taking Sly. So I'm going with a really, I think, underappreciated Camp Stallone classic. Most known, I think, to younger audiences now as being the movie that the characters on the OC watch every Christmas Day, and deservedly so. It is the 1987 Sylvester Stallone arm wrestling drama.
What a year that was, 87, the same year as The Running Man. Prime vintage year.
They had very different years in 87, it has to say. Those two really picked different projects. So, Stallone does this movie, for which he received, I think it was $13 million for this, which is an absolutely obscene amount of money. For a movie, I think it was produced and directed by Canon Films founder and legendary Israeli film mogul, Menachem Golem. It's co-written by Stallone, alongside In the Heat of the Night writer Sterling Silliphant, which might be one of my favourite names for a human being ever. Sterling Silliphant.
Not good for Chris Eubank. Sterling Silliphant. In big trouble.
Definitely not. And it stars Stallone as a long-haul trucker named Lincoln Hawk, whose only hobby and passion is arm wrestling. And he has an estranged 10-year-old son. And when his estranged wife dies of a heart condition, he tries to bond with his son and takes him on a cross-country trip, during which they discover an appreciation of one another over arm wrestling. All in the pursuit of the Las Vegas Arm Wrestling Championship, where Stallone, wouldn't you know it, is going to compete and see if he can take his chances over the top. Hence the clever title. This movie was so spectacularly, wonderfully bad, but in all the best, most very fun ways, that the kid playing Stallone's on-screen son won 2 Golden Raspberries that year for worst newcomer and worst supporting actor. And I promise you, he deserved both of them. He's spectacularly terrible. And Stallone, do you know what? Just really trying in material that simply is not there for him. But it's just a camp classic. Absolutely check this out. It's got a really a wonderfully terrible theme song as well that was meant to be sung by Asia, but apparently they made it too soulful, so they had Sammy Hagar redo it. Absolutely bonkers. Very 1987 soundtrack. I'm going to get it's on Pick on Sunday night.
I must say though, I've not seen it. It's got Robert Loggia in it, isn't it? He's a bit of a obsession of mine. The man who played T.H.E. Cat in the TV series of the 60s. So some good. He lost a fortune this film as well, I think, didn't it?
Oh, it did. It did. This I think more or less. This started the end for Canon Films. This was their big project, and when it underperformed, it really sank the company. They never recovered, and they sort of started the ball rolling on the end of the Canon film legacy. If you've never seen Electric Boogaloo: The Legacy of Canon Films, great documentary, worth checking out. Menachem Golem evidently was nuts, and this is the only explanation I can find for the last 2 Christopher Reeve Superman movies. So do check that documentary out.
I should say, if you're a fan of 80s wrestling, the cast of wrestlers who turn up either as extras or one of them is a match referee. Andrew Cobra Rhodes is a match referee. Scott Norton pops up, and it was the future pro wrestling champion in that case. So it's got a big cast of, and there's, I can't remember, it must have been The Guardian or somebody did a kind of article about a year ago about movies that were gay and didn't know it, and this came in at number 2, yes. I think.
Yes, it's an incredibly gay movie, but there's not a single sequence in it in which Stallone is not glistening. But there's no earthly reason that he should be glistening, but the man is always glistening in a way that suggests he simply secretes baby oil. It's very much one of those movies. Like I say, Sunday night on Pick, 9 p.m. Over the top. I'm going to give you just an almost Rocky level Stallone monologue here. And bear in mind, this is him coaching his son for wussing out, his 10-year-old son for wussing out of an arm wrestling match.
Here we go.
What are you trying to do?
All you wanted to do was embarrass me. Well, you did it, okay? Grandfather always said you were a loser. Now you're trying to make me one, and I hate you for it.
Mike, I don't care what your grandfather thinks about me, okay? All I care about is you. Now, you lost back there because you beat yourself. You let yourself get beat. I know you can do it. You're a special kid. You're my boy. Do you understand? But you're also a spoiled, rich brat who's always had everything done for him. Now it's time to do for yourself, Mike, and you can do it. Because I'm telling you, the world meets nobody halfway. Do you understand what that means? If you want it, Mike, you gotta take it. Do you hear me? You gotta take it.
Stand up for career as an armed robber, isn't he? A member of the Reservoir Dogs gang. Anyway, tell us about off-screen, Ben. I presume you're out later on today, at 8 o'clock today, with your first December off-screen.
Yes, 8 a.m. On the 1st of December. We are kicking off December with, as I say, something seasonal. We're going after Something in the Barn. You know me and those Norwegian barn elves. The movie incidentally does follow an American family, so don't think that it's like an entirely subtitled movie. It's Americans in Norway fighting barn elves. Like, it's very much my kind of movie. And this week sees the release of the 20th anniversary edition of Elf in cinemas. So I get to talk about one of the great Christmas greats. So, Adam Ball and I live for this stuff, can't wait. And also, we got our Spotify podcast stats, Spotify Wrapped today. So we're obviously very happy at the moment. So please, contribute to our already glistening figures and like and subscribe to Offscreen.
It's a great listen, folks. Adam Ball and, above all, your Van Con, of course, who joins us every Friday with his Freeview film recommendations. We'll have till 5, and for the moment, though, Van, that's a wrap. Cheers, matey.